Well, we had a major failure with the retractable impact screen. It fell to the ground. This bracket over here had a failure, and this is the one that hooks up to the free bearing at the very end of the pipe, the 2-inch electrical conduit pipe. The failure is with this pin over here that just opened up. The way this is held in place is like this. And then this clip is supposed to hold it in place, but the torque on this motor is so strong that somehow this might have got stuck somehow, and it actually ended up coming this way and falling to the ground. That's unacceptable. Replacing it with another light bracket, you could have the same problem. So I'm not going to run that risk. So I decided to re-engineer both mounts. Starting with this mount over here to replace the motor mount. What I did is I took this piece of slotted angle iron here, and I made a bracket that's going to be fairly similar, and I'm going to replace the end of the motor mount with the original mount that came with it. So it's going to slide into that hole, and a cotter pin is going to go through here, and that's going to hold it in place. And then this is going to be bolted to the 2x4, very, very strong. That's not going to go anywhere. More challenging is the other end, because we need to replace this bearing. Did some research on the internet, and I found this bearing, CSB 20516, and that will hold a 1-inch pipe in a 2-inch diameter bearing. This is what it looks like right here. 2-inch diameter bearing for the EMT, and a 1-inch diameter and a 1-inch pipe that is going to sit right here. Okay, it's a little tight. Let me loosen this thing up a little bit. Okay, there we go. So the plan is to have 2 bearings. I only bought one because I wanted to test it. So it's going to have 2 bearings, one here and one about right here. This is going to be at the edge of the electrical conduit. So that's going to spread the load from here to here pretty good. That's going to be right. And then there's going to be a very short piece that is going to stick out, and for that is going to be mounted to this angle here with a U-bolt, and that's going to hold this pipe firmly in place. It's not going to move horizontally, so there's no risk of things coming loose or coming out. That should basically address the issue of having this plastic bearing and this bracketry here. We're going to have this industrial bearings on this end right here. Now the way this works, at the end of the pipe is pretty slick. It actually fits very well. I was surprised at how good of a fitting is, but maybe it depends on the manufacturer of the EMT. But this guy is gonna slide right there. And it has enough friction to go in and out freely, but it's not sloppy. So that should hold it okay. That's why I plan to have two bearings, one sitting over here and one on this edge with about 3 inches or sticking out, and the U-bolt holding it in place. That's going to be very strong. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be a very safe mount for the pipe so it doesn't fall in the future. I installed the pipe with the first bearing, which is sitting somewhere down here, maybe 1.5 feet all the way in. And then I left about 4 inches on this end. And I received the remaining bearing from Amazon. Here's the number of it. And for this bearing, I just put a little bit of painter's tape, very, very thin, just to take off this slack that is going to be here. There's a little egg shaping here when the conduit fell, when it fell. It kind of egg shaped it a little bit. So to take off some of that slack, I just put this painter's tape. So that's going to make the bearing fit more snugly. And then we're going to set the screws like that. And then we're gonna have this clamp that is gonna be attached somewhere at the very end, and that's going to enable this whole assembly to pivot in a very secure fashion. No more chintzy plastic bearings or brackets. So, well, here's the bearing already installed with the set screws already in place and nice and tight. And this thing is gonna be pretty slick. You know, it's gonna be held in place, and then this pipe is gonna be able to rotate freely. Not a big deal. So I think we're good to go. Well, here it is, the finished product. Before I put on the screen, I decided to go with bolts all the way across. I'm gonna put washers here. I'm not gonna have this blade. The U-bolt with this bracket and the bearings are working great, as you can see, just smooth as silk. No more concern about this thing falling down. So I'm very happy with the outcome. I'm going to go ahead and take this down, put the screen, and hang it up and call it a day. Well, here it is, the business end fully installed. Screen is installed. I used bolts all the way across with washers, my bracket and my U-bolt and my tube. Everything is looking great. Let's go ahead and put the weight tube and see how this works.